You are being standing there saying, I am much of the amazingness, I am much of the beautifulness, I am much of the love, I am much of the perfection in this universal construct. And then what we are noticing that in the next moment, something may be of the happening that then triggers you to be going, oh, but I am silliness and I am stupidness and I am not good and I am nothing here and I can't remember much of who I am. If you want to be journeying into this expanded nature of the reality in the most of the what you are wishing for of the energetic way, then making of the choice to be in one space and not to be a mixing up the spaces. This is just being of the delaying of your expansiveness. Because when you are sitting in one space of the truth of who you are, that most magnificent version of yourself, and then in the next moment you are saying you are not that magnificent version of yourself, this what you're calling of the wood of the rockingness, of the seesawingness, of the backwards and forwards is one of the aspects that is what you might be calling getting in the roadness. This is one of the aspects that making you of the tiredness. This is one of the aspects that is stopping and slowing down this expansiveness into the next dimension of the reality scape.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Eleni and Marcus for another episode of Galactic Guidance. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the 8th of April full eclipse. What does it mean? And what do we need to do so that we can step into the most expanded version of ourselves? This is a fascinating conversation, so please have a listen to this channeled message. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Galactic Guidance. Welcome, Marcus.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. It's nice to be here.
Yay.
Yeah.
We have a very exciting episode in store for you today, given the what's happening on the planet at the moment, which is,
Sure.
well, let me ask the question to Ameed. So let's hear it from a high dimensional perspective.
Yeah.
So, whenever you're ready to bring forward Ameed,
All right.
Marcus,
Well, yeah. Let's get
let's
into
go for it.
out the road so that I don't trip over anything. All right. Let's do that. So.
Okay. So, as you're listening to this session, this podcast, what Marcus is doing at this moment is going into a state where he's able to channel a high dimensional being called Ameed. And I'm very interested to hear from Ameed as to what exactly is happening on the planet at the moment, because there's some very intense energies. We've just had the full eclipse yesterday and really eager to know more about how we navigate this period of time. And so feel into the energy and enjoy.
It is much of the loveness that we are being in this moment with you, Miss Eleni. It's much of the joyness that we are here in this this moment of the timescape. Being here with the being with of the sharingness and of the love is much of the excitement.
It's always much of the love to be in your presence, Ameed, and very grateful for Marcus for bringing you here. Grateful for both of you. So what I wanted to ask is about, well, yesterday was the 8th of April, and it felt like a very intense time on the planet. Me personally, in the middle of the day, I went to lie down because I was feeling so fatigued because I couldn't sleep the night before at all. And I don't know how long I slept, but I went to bed for 5 minutes just to rest. And when I came out of bed, it was nighttime. And so I was still wearing my clothes and I was too tired to do anything else. So I slept during the day when I had not intended to. So I was like, what is going on the planet? Is it that there's a lot of light hitting the planet that we're anchoring into? So my question is, what actually happened yesterday, apart from the what did the full eclipse actually bring onto the planet, and what's the best way for us humans to use these beautiful energies moving forward.
Yeah, and there is much of the conversation in this aspect of the reality scape. We are sensing many of the energetic questions that are being of the asked. We would like to be of the sharing with you that there is much of a lessness of the emphasis on the actuality of the occurrence than the focus of the consciousness and the resonance awareness of what is being of the happening. When you are thinking that something is of the happening that is outside of the controlness, outside of your consciousness, then you are thinking that you are at the mercy of the situation. But what you will be of the finding is that when there is what you consider of a significant of the event, whether it be of the dateness, whether there is of the 8th of the 8th, or if there is a correlation of the dateness, or in this of the case, the solar of the eclipse, it is more about the consciousness focus that is given to this event than it is for the actual event itself. There is a lot of the shifting and of the changes that are happening as you transition into the next dimension of the reality scape. This is the main aspect of what is happening for you in this theme park of the Earthscape, that you are shifting in the resonant frequencies into the next dimension of the reality scape. Within this shift, what is being of the happening is that when you're giving of the focusedness, the consciousness focus of a particular event, you are amplifying the resonant field, you are amplifying the shifts, you are amplifying the transition, and therefore it is a feeling like things are much of the moving in the quickness. But this is because of the consciousness, not necessarily because of the event itself. The events that are being of the appearing assist you to give conscious focus to the transformation, the resonant shift, the dimensional shift that is being of the happening. This of the happening has been coming from much of a timescape, and it is in the now moment that the shift is appearing. When you are giving of the focus to a particular number or a particular event, you are creating a collective conscious focus. This has the effect of the amplification. This amplification is in the movement from one dimension to the next dimension, from one harmonic resonant frequency to another harmonic resonant frequency. And within that shift, you are going through of the disharmonic resonant frequency. This is of the main pattern that you have been experiencing in this theme park, in this of the moment. What you will find with of the tiredness, because many have been speaking of this tiredness, you are finding that the tiredness comes from when you are not allowing for the movement, allowing for the shift, that you are trying to be holding into two or multiple timescapes of the reality. But in actual fact, you are shifting into another timescape of reality. And if you are just to be in of the flowness, if you are just being of the what you might be calling of the giving in to this process, then you will not be feeling such of the tiredness. However, having said this, when there is of the amplification, when there is a quickening event like has just been of the happening that has been progressing over this last few of the moments, then you will be feeling into the consciousness focus of our amplified energies, amplified frequencies that are being provided because of the consciousness focal point. This then, if you are not in of the rhythm and you're not in of the flow of the harmonic nature of this consciousness focus, then you can be affected at much of the nanosubtle energetic level of experience. Therefore, your vibration is shifting, and you will be feeling that within the cellular structure, within the physical structure of the human form, that you are experiencing of the tiredness. However, if we are to be of the simpleness with this, there are a few things that you must be thinking of. One is that this is an amplification moment, amplification of the shifting of dimensional resonant frequencies. Within that, you must be in of the flowness with this. It can have an effect of interfering with the physical aspect of the human form because of the consciousness resonant frequencies that are flowing in and of through you. And if you can be of the alignment, if you can be of the what you might be calling of the relaxing into the process, then you will not feel as much of the tiredness. However, this is often a symptom of quickening, a symptom of consciousness focus into a particular point in and of the experience. This is assisting you in of the elevation and the expansion into the next dimension of the reality scape. This is what is being of the happening.
Yes, I remember you saying the same thing with other events that occurred previously, that it's not really the date itself, but it's the amplification of everybody focusing on, in a stream of consciousness, and that all gets together and it provides a shift in whatever's going on. So does this mean with the shift that happened yesterday, irrespective of the fact that it's not the date or not the eclipse itself, but it's actually all, the collective getting together and meditating together that caused it? What I've heard is that there is now a greater amount of light that's anchored onto the planet. And so what does this mean for us, and how can we utilize this for the highest good of all?
When you are looking at these of eventness and you are seeing the focal point of the consciousness, you are seeing an amplification of resonant harmonic energies. This amplification creates what you might be understanding of a quickening event. That quickening event allows a deeper connection with the harmonic and natural state of the universal construct. When you are in a harmonic resonance with the universal construct, you are able to be receiving more of the information, more of the knowledge, more of the expanded wisdom of the universal reality scape. When you are coming here onto the earthscape, you are restricted with the knowledge and information that you are able to be of the receiving. It is much like you have been restricted, having much of the restricted access to information. This is because you are coming here in of a lower consciousness state to be in the expansion into a higher, more expanded consciousness state. This contraction and expansion assist in the expansion of the universal construct. It is much like if you imagine that when you are in of the universe, you are of a complete human experience. When you are coming into of the earthscape, you are just becoming maybe just like part of the human experience. Maybe you are just the lungs of the human experience. And then when you come here on the earthscape, you are much of the breathing out, and therefore the lungs are much of the shrinking. And then your journey is to be able to expand into the lungs so that you can then once again eventually reunite with the human form and be much more of the biggerness, more of the expandedness. This is all of much of the experience here is about the expansion of consciousness and the expansion of the universal construct. So you are coming in here to be of the forgetfulness so that you can be of the remembering. This, on an energetic sense, is you are coming here in a more restricted ability, a restricted soul aspect, a restricted universal being aspect, so that you can journey and be of the expanded universal being. And then you will be turning back into the soul aspect of who you truly are in the universal construct. But while you are being of the existing here, your nature or your assignment or your of the mission was to be of the shrinkingness. Within that shrinkingness, you have been much influenced to be of the forgetfulness, to be of the missing, the deeper version of the reality of who you are. Your job then is, your mission has been to be expanding into that aspect of that reality. These events are therefore then assist in this expansion, but it is much of a rapidness of the expansion. This is the quickening that you are being of the experiencing. When you are in of this quickening, when you are able to be in a stable resonant frequency, in a harmonic resonant frequency, when you're able to allow to be swept into the flow of this experience, then you will not feel as much of the fatigueness as you are being of the feeling. But when you are holding on, when you are being in the containment of the human experience, then sometimes the physicality can be affected by of the quickening. The quickening is the rush of the consciousness focus into a pinpoint of the reality scape. This pinpoint then connects into the universal construct and allows you to have more access to of the remembering, more access to of the knowledge. This allows for the quickening of the expansion of your consciousness reality, your soul aspect of awareness, and you becoming a much more of the bigger version, a more expanded version of the truth of who you are. All of this is assisting you to step into the next dimension of reality. Remembering this is a collective experience as much as it is of the individual experience. You are journeying this on a collective nature, and we have been given you the gifts of these timescapes, these of dates, these of the experience, so that you can bring your collective conscious together, once again returning back to the oneness of the reality of the existence. Within that, there's much energetic focus that assists you to align back into universal construct. That alignment back into the universe allows you more access to information. Again, quickening of the expansion of your consciousness awareness, and in some of the essences, the remembering of the mission, the remembering of what we talked about before you are journeyed into this reality.
Is there anything else that you would like us to know at this moment, Ameed?
One of the aspects that we would much be liking you to be of the knowingness is to allow the energetic construct, the energetic focus, the energetic amplification to assist you to remember the deeper version of your reality. To then be making of the choice to continually live in that expanded reality of what you might be considering of who you really are. You have much of the choice in this moment to be stepping much of the powerfulness into that reality of who you are, not necessarily who you are thinking and who you have been, but now be stepping into the more expanded version of who you are. In this moment, it would be much of the helpfulness to make a choice to be sitting in that aspect of yourself. Some of the what you'd be calling of the fatigueness is when you are sitting in one space thinking that you are one thing, and then in of the next moment you are thinking you are something else. As of the example that we see are many of the times within you that you are being standing there saying, I am much of the amazingness, I am much of the beautifulness, I am much of the love, I am much of the perfection in this universal construct. And then what we are noticing that in the next moment something may be of the happening that then triggers you to be going, oh, but I am silliness and I am stupidness and I am not good and I am nothing here and I can't remember much of who I am. If you want to be journeying into this expanded nature of the reality in the most of the what you are wishing for, of the energetic way, then making of the choice to be in one space and not to be mixing up the spaces. This is just being of the delaying of your expansiveness. Because when you are sitting in one space of the truth of who you are, that most magnificent version of yourself, and then in the next moment you are saying you are not that magnificent version of yourself, this, what you're calling of the wood of the rockingness, of the seesawingness, of the backwards and forwards is one of the aspects that is what you might be calling getting in the roadness. This is one of the aspects that making you of the tiredness. This is one of the aspects that is stopping and slowing down this expansiveness into the next dimension of the reality scape. So when you are sitting here in the focusedness and when you are feeling into the energetics of the amplified energy, you must be then making of the choiceness of which of these two versions of the self you wish to be of the experiencing. And we would be much of the encouragement, much of the asking you to be stepping into what you consider of the most amazing version of yourself. This is much closer to the truth of who you are, not of the version of yourself that you think is of the silliness and of the stupidness and of the not good enoughness and the one that making all the mistakes all the time. We wish for you to feel into the amplification of the focal energy that these moments create, for you to assist yourself into stepping into the most, what you might consider of the most amazing version of yourself. For this is of the truth of who you are. You are the most amazing of the beautifulness, the most most of the wondrous nature of the existence. We wish for you to be in the encouragement of this position, because you are being seen this miscellany. A lot of the time you are sitting in that space, but then every now and then you are sitting in the other space where you're not of the sureness, you're not of the lightness, not of the loveness that you are in this other position. And we notice many of you playing of this what you call of the seesawness. This is now time for getting out of the seesawness and for anchoring yourself into one aspect or of the other aspect. And obviously we are wishing for you to be of the knowingness of the wonder of the self, be of the knowingness of the amazingness of the self, beyond of the physical, of the formness, beyond of the what have they been of the telling you, beyond what of the opinions, and be much more stepping into this true nature of your reality.
So one final question before we bring Marcus on. How do we, because what you said is we need to anchor in who we really are. Can you give a practical example of how we anchor who we truly are, so that we can be in the expression, our highest expression, and not our lowest expression?
One of the aspects that you can be of the doing is when you are being connected to that aspect of you that we are wishing for you, that most of the amazing, the most of the lightness, the most of the happiness and of the joyness. When you are sensing into of this space, we ask that you be locking yourself into that scape. Part of that practicality of locking into that scape is the making of the decision that this is who you are, this is who you want to be, this is the truth of the reality of your experience and your existence. Then be of the mindfulness that when of the other aspect comes up is that you just allow that to be of the flowing past you, that you are not agreeing with that that aspect of you that is being of the telling you that you are not of the goodness, that you are not of the amazingness. These are just a past of the reflections of existence. This is not the reality of the existence in this of the moment. So you need to be in of the amazingness aspect. You need to be of the feeling into this amazingness aspect. You need to be in of the accepting of this amazingness aspect. Be in of it every awaking of the moment, to be experiencing that of the amazingness, and then be of the choosing that you wish not to be playing in of the other aspect of you, and that aspect of you may or may not be of the truth, that may or may not have been in existence, but in this of the moment and going forward in this timescape, that you are choosing to connect into the amazingness aspect of who you are, because this is the deeper truth of who you are. This is the soul aspect of who you are. This is who you were before you came into this existence. This is who you will be when you leave of this existence. And we are wishing for you to be of the experience in the fullness of the reality of this experience. This will assist you to continue of the expansion of your consciousness awareness, continue to assist you to connect into the universal timescape of reality. It will continue to help you in your evolutionary process. And when you are existing in this place, you will be much better in the position to be of the light, so that others can be of the following. The others can step into and make this also decision that we are asking you to make. And we understand this is of the difficultness because of the other aspect of you, of the restricted resonant field of you is keeping on coming and showing of itself. But you must not be agreeing with that any longer. You must be going, thank you very much for being bring in existence at some point in time. Thank you for helping me to continually expand into the biggest and most amazing of the version of myself. This is why this has been in existence, to help you to step into this aspect, this much more of the resonant, harmonic aspect of who you are. Remembering your transition is always from one harmonic state through a disharmonic state into another harmonic state. Your expansion in universal construct is that you have to go through one harmonic state. That harmonic state then gets destabilized into a disharmonic state. So it begins to release itself so that it can then step into a more expanded harmonic state of reality. Your pastness, your other version of the selfness that we are talking of, is the restricted harmonic state of reality and the disharmonic state of reality. It is there. It has been designed to be there to assist you to expand, to step into a more expansive, more harmonic, more broader reality of who you are. One of the issues for your of species is that you keep falling back into this old aspect of who you are. What you will be finding in this moment is those aspects are keeping on coming up. They're keeping on coming up because you have not been of the anchoring into the new aspect. Therefore, you have not anchored into the next dimension of the reality scape, and you are still existing somewhat in that disharmonic reality between one harmonic state of reality to another harmonic state of reality, or one dimension of the reality into another dimension of the reality. One is much more of the expanded nature, one is much more of the restricted nature. But this is keeping on appearing for you because it's assisting you to continue to the expansion, but it is also indicating for you to be anchoring into the new version of more expanded version of yourself in this of the example. So what we'll be asking you to do first is to feel into that aspect of you. When you are in that space where you are knowing yourself to be of the love, knowing yourself to be of the amazingness, that you then make of the choice, the consciousness choice, to be remaining in this space. When you are sensing of the otherness, when you are sensing of the restricted, disharmonic realities that appear for you, those destabilizing realities, that you are looking at this and you are saying to yourself, I am not returning to this place. I am going to use that disharmonic resonant field to assist me to continue in the expansive nature. And that when I have been of the anchoring of that expanded nature, I will no longer need to be seeing these disharmonic resonant patterns that have been of the gifting to me throughout my life experience. This is much of an important conversation that we are requesting you to now be stepping into, because these events that are being of the happening, creating amplification of consciousness awareness, creating quickening experiences, are therefore the highlighting of you stepping into the next dimension of reality. You have been much of the transitioning into and through this experience from one reality to another reality, from much of the happiness and joyness from the sadness and the not so happiness, from the not so amazingness to into of the amazingness, from the not so much of the love to into the fullness of the love. Your journey now is in this moment, in this of the collective experience, is to now be in the transition into that of the amazingness, and be holding into of the amazingness, and allowing these other aspects of yourself to be of the transition past and disappearing. These are no longer in of the service of you, unless of course that is what is needed for you. Many of you are in this moment of this transition, and this will feel like a final of the transition. Not that this is of the reality, but this is what we'll be feeling like, that you are in the final moments of stepping into the next dimension of the reality scape.
Wow, that was incredible. Thank you so much. I mean, really appreciate those very, very wise words, and there's a lot there to hold and to integrate. So thank you so much.
Much of the loveness, Miss Eleni, we are much of the overjoyedness to be here and be of the sharing this information. For this is the time, and we are much of the happiness and joyfulness that we can be of the sharing and be of the connecting in. There is much love that is being sent here. There's much energies that are being sent here to be of the assistance in this of the transitionary nature of your existence. For you have chosen to be in this moment to assist in the universal expansion of reality. Sometimes we understand that it feels like this is such a smallness thing that you are being, that who am I to be of the bigness and helping of the universal expansion? This does not make of the sense, because I am just the littleness. I am just a little of the humanness, but we are here to tell you you're much bigger than this of the littleness of the human, that you are being of the assistance of the expansion of universal construct, that we are all of the connected, that we are all here assisting in the same journey to be of the assistance of universal expansion, and we are all of the connectedness. And you must be of the remembering that you are being of the choosing to be in this place, remembering that this is not of a home planet for any of you. You are here in a transitory, what I've been calling of the theme park. You are not living in of the theme park. We are not knowing anyone who lives in a theme park, as much as many of you would like to. No one lives in of the theme park. You are just of the visiting. And in of the visiting, you are experiencing everything that of the theme park has to be of the offering, so that you can be in the expansive nature. So even if you are not doing anything except enjoying of the rides, you are playing of a role in the expansive nature of the universal construct. Even if you're not fully of the consciousness and fully of the awareness and not even believing in what Ameed is saying, even you're not believing what we are saying, you are still in of the expansive nature of this construct just by being here on a transitory planetary experience. This is what these planetary experiences are about. You will be finding that there are what you will be calling home planets, where you are originally, what is the bestness for this, originally journeyed into this dimension of reality. We are sensing that there is a question that is coming from this, that this is one universal construct of many universal constructs, and you are journeyed into this universal construct through of your home planet. From there of your home planet, you are then deciding what role will I be playing in the expansion of this universal construct. Will I be staying here on my home planet and being of the mentorship and being of the service to other planetary constructs, or will I be choosing my mission to be going on to these transitory planetary constructs to assist in the stabilization and therefore the harmonization and expansion of the universal construct? We understand the bigness of this question and of this situation, and we will be much happy to speak of this over whatever amount of the time that you wish for us to be speaking of this. But in this moment, you are in of the theme park. You are not here to be living in the theme park, but rather just be experiencing of the journey, so that then eventually you can be of the returning to the homeness, or what you be considering of the homeness. These are nodules in universal construct that amplify aspects of the universal grid, the holographic universal matrix, as we have talked about in the past. These are assisting to help in the expansion as by stabilizing the geometric patterns of the universal construct. We understand we are much going into the deepness of this, but we are wishing to be starting this conversation so that you fully are of the understanding of what this means to be in this timescape reality.
That is definitely a conversation that we will have in a future episode, Ameed, because there is a lot that I would like to ask about our home planet and this transitory planet we call Earth. So yes, that is definitely a discussion for a future time. Thank you so much for everything that you brought forward today.
Much of the joyness. We are much of the pleased that you are in this moment listening to this conversation, and we are sending much of the love, much of the joy. Wow. That was pretty, that was kind of weird. I haven't had this happen before when we've done this. But what happened there was while Ameed was talking, she was also having a conversation with me about a deeper version of this. Like, okay, I don't know how to describe this. So while the talking was happening, and I generally when I'm either not there or there, or I just hear mumbling. So if I was to focus on the conversation, I hear mumbling. Like I don't really know, and I might get little bits, right? I might hear a word or an right. So I get a little bit, but then this time it was like the conversation was muffled in the background, and then there was all this other information that was given to me at the same time.
What was she saying to you at the same time?
She was saying to me that the currency of the universe is geometry. Now, what does that mean, right? So what it means is that, well, again, this is what was sort of happening in the background, that the way the universe is constructed is geometry, right? The geometry is everywhere in the universe, and the universe is constructed in a geometrical grid that she in the past has called the holographic universal matrix. So it's this matrix of grids, and that the value in the universe is the grid and holding the grid and expanding the grid. And oh God, I don't even know how to explain it. So because she was sort of saying to me, answering the question, not that I had the question, but answering the question of, well, why did we come here? If this is transitory, because I gather she was talking about something about, because she's talked about transitory planets and, this is not a home planet to me before. So I gather that's what was being talked about. What was happening at the back end was some of the answers to why that is and why beings had to be sent to this planet. And it anchors the geometric grids around the universe so that to alive the grid and to expand the grid and to almost like activate the grid, you have to put like the manifested beingness of the universe on that specific planet. That then activates the grid to another specific planet, another planet, another planet, and then all of a sudden, or solar system, and then all of a sudden the grid expands and almost like comes to life. I have to sit with it a bit because it's
Wow,
just
of
stuff
course,
that's rolling, right?
of course.
It's a
So
bit,
when she said, "I can hear a question coming from you," she actually meant from you, not
right.
from me.
Okay, maybe that's what was happening in the background.
Yeah,
It was weird. Like that was super weird. That was weird.
that was really multidimensional.
I haven't had that happen before. Like normally I just have a holiday. Do you know what I mean? Like I just vanish for a bit. This time I must have vanished for a little while, and then towards the end, all of this stuff started to appear. And I almost was having another conversation in the background while another conversation was going on. That was weird.
Because that's interesting. Because I was going to ask you after she finished,
Right.
is this still Ameed? Because she sounded different to usual. Like she
Yeah.
had a different signature than usual.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, is what's changed? Because her words were a little bit different. I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
noticed a difference.
I don't know whether there's been an energetic shift on the planet, and therefore the temperament or the frequency has now changed. Therefore, her frequency has changed, or yeah, I don't know.
It almost feels like when she was talking, like the language was more similar to our language
Yeah, okay.
with the way she expressed the words and so on. They were, I just felt that.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I had a conversation with her the other day, and she was saying to me that something around almost like being more real, not being more
Yeah,
real, but being
I get it.
more
I understand. I
explicit or
understand.
being more, yeah, yeah. She was sort of saying that she doesn't have to be as different now or something. It was something about it. I
Yes.
don't know. Maybe that's part of the shift. I'm not sure.
Yeah. She
I'm not
sounded
sure.
different. She sounded.
That's interesting. What was the
I
feeling like though?
The feeling was the same,
Okay.
but
All right.
but
That's
but
good.
but the words were more human-like.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we definitely had a chat the other day in meditation around uh, assisting even more and being more. Her sort of words or the inference was to be less unusual. She was feeling that she wants people to get it more. She wants to,
Yeah.
I don't know, not sound too. I mean, she's always going to be different because she's not a human and isn't going to be a human, so it's going to sound different. But she was wanting to not be as different. I don't know.
I was actually, I understand because I've been thinking the same thing.
Okay.
And I've seen many channels where when they first, I know you haven't just started channeling, you've been channeling
No.
for 3 decades,
Yeah.
but probably just in the last couple of years publicly though.
Yeah.
So channels that I've heard, at the very beginning, they sounded very different. And then they've sounded more and more human-like as time has gone on. So I actually was thinking, I wonder whether that's going to happen with Ameed and Marcus. And it felt like today was the first time I felt that.
Interesting. Well, we'll see what
Yeah.
happens, right? We'll see what happens as it unfolds. But
Because then it does make the material more accessible.
yeah.
People don't, because, sometimes if they're at a certain frequency, they may just tune out because it's like,
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Too weird.
That's too weird.
Yeah.
But I felt
Maybe
straight away.
Maybe that's what's happening. I don't know. Not sure. Yeah. I just know that a few days ago she had that conversation around being more, not real, but do you know what I mean? More simple, accessible, yeah.
And relatable.
Yeah. She definitely had that conversation. So maybe that's
That's
part
exciting.
of it. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Yeah, no, I noticed it and I just felt this is feeling a little bit different. It did feel a little bit different as well, sounding different. So I was going to ask you afterwards, what's going on? So it's exciting. It means we're shifting along with the times and we're making this podcast more relatable and accessible to our listeners.
Yeah.
And and there's a big conversation in the future to be had about home planets and Earth. So if you're interested in that conversation, make sure you subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe. Absolutely.
And if you have any questions, let us know. So that was an awesome conversation.
Cool.
And I love that you had this dual thing happening where you were having your own conversation.
I know, that was weird. I'm going to have to write some stuff down after this and try and take down whatever was being downloaded or shared. So, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Marcus. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you listening and tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in to Galactic Guidance. We hope that the messages that you receive from the higher realms have brought you clarity, insight, and comfort. Please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Remember to stay connected to your own inner guidance and trust the journey ahead.